Welcome to the Heathen Horror Movie Channel. You are tuned in to I Know What You Watched Last Week, our horror movie review show. This is episode 43. It's also a special, which, do you remember what you named the special?
Don't go there.
Don't go there.
Don't go there. Yeah, places that are off limits.
Which...
Unadvisable to visit.
If you go by where it was filmed, then the places not to go are Romania and Panama.
What? No. France? Paris?
I think there was a tiny bit there, and then the rest of it was Romania doubling as France.
Yeah.
So these movies started off with Catacombs, starring your favourite, Shannon Sossamon.
Yeah. Does she ever actually act, or is she just always doing the same thing? I've only ever seen her do one thing.
I've never seen her do this before. Be chased around the French underground.
Yeah, but her performance. Anyway, and her haircut. They never change her style. Weird. Anyway, carrying on. Second movie.
The Cave.
The Cave, yeah. I did remember that, actually.
I think it's from 2005 because there are probably several movies called The Cave. Much like our number one, which is called Prey. And
is that right?
It took me a long time to find the prey I was looking for. It's not the cruddy Predator Prey. But this one, I believe, is from...
This one's not cruddy.
2016, and it's also called Indigenous. So, two titles again, and it was much easier to find it under Indigenous than Prey, obviously. There were also a lot of movies called Indigenous. Two overused titles. So, very enjoyable bunch. Right?
Gosh, yeah. Catacombs is burnt into my memory. And the other two, I'm sure there'll be bits that I've forgotten, but the overall, everything has stuck with me. It's not an easy ranking, but if I go first, I'd probably put the Indigenous...
Prey/Indigenous in last place.
In last place.
Mm-hmm.
And then Catacombs and The Cave gets the gold.
Synced up this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite unusual, actually, nowadays for us. So
yeah, 3, 2, 1. You are correct. Well, no, this week you are correct. Other weeks you were just wrong.
Although I'm actually quite surprised that Catacombs wasn't my third place, because having watched it first in the week, I was like, this movie is so annoying.
Right, before we get into how annoying that one was for you,
yeah,
let's start off with both our bottom pick, Prey/Indigenous. So why is this bottom for you?
It wasn't shot particularly well. The story wasn't great. All of the characters are very annoying. And there just wasn't anything standout with it. I guess actually maybe the monsters weren't like the worst I've seen. They didn't make me just laugh out loud. But
Wasn't it just the monster? Or
I don't know.
Or are they multiple?
I don't know if there's more than one.
No, I think it's... So are you saying that it's
I got the feeling there was. Because this... Basically, the horror element to this film is based upon the legend of the Chupacabra.
The Chupacabra.
Which we're not unaware of, having been big fans of paranormal shows for a long time.
Yeah. Cryptids. I believe this would fall under a cryptid, the old Chupacabra. Mm-hmm. Much like, Bigfoot, your favourite. And you just asked a very important question. Is there more than one Chupacabra? Because we know from watching these shows that there was probably more than one Bigfoot. Bigfoot families, lady Bigfoots, all kinds of Bigfoots. So, all kinds of big feet.
Yeah.
Now, for me, there's only one Chupacabra, and it's a Chupacabra in this movie. And what we get is a load of American tourists, and they head to Panama for one last blowout. Before one of them actually says something like, before life swallows us whole, this is the last time we can all party and surf together.
Yeah, so I get the feeling they're at the end of college then or something.
Well,
That's what they're insinuating, I think,
they're all
isn't
starting
it?
college.
Oh, okay.
Which
Wow.
begs the question, how old are they? And
Yeah.
are they enough to be drinking?
Yeah, you're always one for the rules and regulations, aren't you?
I'm very strict on alcoholic beverage rules.
But
Like never drink just one.
so they get to their resort or whatever
Well,
in Panama. Oh, is
you
there
know,
something before that?
Let's. The movie opens with the kind of found footage style, and we get one of the characters, and he's talking
right.
to the camera, saying, "Oh, we're being attacked. I don't know what's coming after me. Here I am in the forest, and I'm alone now because we've all fractured." And then we get into like, 2 days earlier.
Actually,
that's-
now that you've mentioned that, I do remember this because I wanted to say out loud at the time the performance of this guy, given what he's saying, that he's been like out in the wilderness for 2 days in the middle of the jungle somewhere being chased or whatever, and he's just so... He's pretty calm.
It's because he hasn't seen the chupacabra because it's too shadowy. So at this point, it could be any other kind of cryptid that he's not scared of.
He may or may not already have seen one of his friends like attacked and bloodied up as well, though. Either way, I feel like 2 days in the jungle and you're on your own and you're feeling in peril. I feel like you would get a bit more, think Blair Witch with the snot coming out the nose kind of
I don't
level.
want to see any more snot coming out of the nose in found footage movies.
There could definitely have been a bit, more.
Well, I didn't know what he was. It's the opening scene, so you don't know how scared he should be. We don't know that it is the chupacabra at this point. He might just be lost, in which case he might not be that panicked as when the chupacabra is chasing you. So anyway, we get his opening. Then we get kind of introduced to our whole gang because the guy on camera is now, I think it's the same guy, in his bedroom, Scott.
Yeah, it says like 2 days earlier.
And he's with his girlfriend. Yeah, I said 2 days earlier.
Did you?
Yeah, and he's with his girl, and he gets like a FaceTime, and it's his bros, and they're already in Panama. Mm-hmm. And his friend, the first thing he says is, "Yo, what's his missus' name? Steph. Yo, is that Steph I can hear in the shower? Why don't you show me?" And he's like, "No way, bro. I'm not going to show you my girlfriend." I'm like, what kind of friend is this? You answer the phone, he wants to see your girlfriend naked.
Wait, who are you... I'm not sure whose side you're on here.
Oh, well, in that case, I'll say Sturm and you can work it out.
But, yeah, they're also... So that's like the I guess the like jock frat type guy, isn't
His name
he?
was Trevor.
So annoying.
Trevor's talking to Scott. Scott's going out with Steph.
His character performance were just...
Then Steph actually gets out the shower. Mm-hmm. And Trevor gets very excited. And then, the kind of... Scott forgets that he's on the phone. And he starts talking to Steph. And Steph's talking about going to veterinary school. And then Scott says, "Oh, as long as you don't clean my anal glands." And Trevor, over the internet, is like, "Yo, you guys are so freaky." And he's like, "Oh, no, I didn't know you could still hear us, bro." And then we're in Panama, baby. We're into Panama.
Yeah, that was a lovely... Didn't you really believe that those two people were in a deep, loving relationship? And that they hadn't just met a few days ago on set?
No, there's more than one relationship in this, and I bought them all. So they're in love, and the other guy wants to see her naked in the shower. So we arrive after the credits, and we get shower sex, and because I care about these people's relationship, that was Scott. So the guy that's been talking about getting his anal gland clean, he's now getting freaky. Then it cuts to just the club, because, they're there for one last blowout, and it's slow-mo ladies. Only the ladies look good in slow-mo on the dance floor.
Yeah, this guy clearly wants to direct a music video with lots of booty, because there was a lot of close-up on pelvis and thrusting and shaking.
So then after the thrusting and shaking, we've got our gang. They're sitting at the table. Scott, he raises his bottle, and he's time to make a speech. And I was like, "Oh no, man, not the speech," because Scott's known for his speeches, and he's all
Sounds like a really
one
fun
last
guy.
time before being swatted by the real world, and they all cheers. And then we get a montage of why everybody hates Americans. Americans not handling their booze. They're trying to ingest their shots through their eyeballs and stuff, sticking 2 bottles in their mouths at the same time because they're crazy. These Americans are crazy when they get on the drink.
Didn't you feel like this was a really fun time when you were watching this montage, though?
Well, I thought I did, and
Felt really genuine.
I'll also get to that at some point. So then they all gone nuts and they're ingesting these shots into their eyes. Then it's time to get serious. So they've all calmed down again. You know, let's just stop drinking for a minute here.
Have they already met the?
Let's all Let's all sit down again, and let's just talk about our futures. And one girl's like, "Yeah, I just got into veterinary school, and by the way, congratulations on the restaurant." And she's like, "Oh, thanks. We're da. Yeah, you know what I'm gonna get to now, didn't you?" And then one of our guys says to Charlie, who's in this relationship, who's in the restaurant business with his missus. He says, "Oh, by the way, Charlie's a maestro." Like, he praises his cooking. And he's like, "What's that thing you did? Albondigas? What goes with it?" And before Charlie can answer, his missus butts in and is like, "Oh, that was my idea." And Charlie is like, "Yeah, I'm just the guy that prepares and cooks the food, I guess."
And the whole table goes silent. It was so
And
cringy.
what a prissy thing.
So cringy. And it's not the only time in the film that he does it. He is such a little... Oh my god, like, way to kill the mood, man. Save it for private time.
So he's been offended about his cooking contributions.
Yeah, so I think they're in a they're in a relationship and they run the restaurant.
But luckily Trevor is on hand to break the silence, and he says to Charlie, by the way, I should also mention that Charlie, I said these are very annoying Americans. Charlie is a Brit, and he's a twat. He's a real twat character. So as I said, Trevor now breaks the silence because he challenges the restaurateur girl to down their beers. But he's got a bet though. He's like, "If I finish my beer first, I'll go and talk to those hotties over there. Or what if I win? You know, if you win, I'll go and talk to those hotties over there." And it was like, oh. So
good one.
Of course he wins anyway, because she's entered into a competition to down your beer first. So obviously the dude, he's like got his mouth wide open. Like, oh, she's just going, "You're never going to win pursing your lips like that." So it's almost like she's forfeited.
I think if you really want to make it fast, you put a straw in there, and then you don't get the whole suction-y thing. Yeah,
so he wins. You know, he wins either way because he's going to go and talk to these girls, but not before leaving the table. And he says, "I'll see if one of them will show me their Panamanian canal." If I can get it out, Panamanian canal. Show me. While Trevor has been shining on these two local ladies, they then introduce him and the gang to this local fella called Julio.
Yeah.
And Julio's very happy to see them. Like, "Welcome to Panama." Seems like, you know, Panamanians are very, very hospitable.
Yeah, except one of the two girls just disappeared without any mention. She obviously didn't fall for the charms because it's just the one by the time the guy comes into it, I think.
I'd also say we get a bit more character development. We get to know, you know, what people are like. You know, I instantly knew what Julio was like. He's the really happy local. So it's devastating for me to see what happens to him later. And while we're introduced to Julio, it then cuts back to Charlie, the Brit, and he's holding court at the table, and he's like, "So I said, 'Mom, Dad, I'm not gay. He was sucking my dick.'" And it was like, "Oh," and then it cuts back to Julio.
Am I the only one who noticed that you just did the Brit with an American accent? Well, is that your default when you do an impression?
It is my default go-to voice, isn't it? So yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I do remember that again. Like,
by the way, I should also mention, I'm pretty sure that Charlie is not English in real life, so I don't know where this comes from, because he's like a proper Brit, and he was sucking my dick, he was.
Yeah, and the other thing is, these three guys have been like surfing together everywhere. Mm-hmm. Again, like, how old are they? Because if they've just been going on surfing holidays for ages, like...
At what age do Yanks go to college? Because I know it's much later than we do.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because they're all drinking there, aren't they? So they must be 21. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
We're just cutting loose at, 13 in England with the booze, I mean.
Not legally, though.
No, not legally, but just the culture here.
I didn't cut loose.
Yeah, so we see them. Some people might have done. Some people may have. We'll never know their life. So anyway, while he tells his joke and Julio's been introduced, they all get on the
Great
dance
joke.
floor and you get boom.
More pelvis and stuff, right?
I'm just saying that we
I mean,
get like,
I wanna get up and shake it.
the typical Latino trash music, you know, modern day pop Latino, and they're all going for it.
It's booty shaking music.
That's the go-to drum beat
Yeah.
that they use for everything. And so far we've had shots ingested through eyeballs, right? 2 bottles of beer in your mouth at the same time, and smoking fags. Then talking about your career and stuff, and you've introduced yourself to the locals. So you go to the beach. Trevor's at the beach with one of these local girls, and she's like, "Wow, you guys really know how to party." I'm like, well, "No, they don't. They don't even know how to drink a shot. Like, just put it into their face. Morons." So while they're having this conversation, we go to Scott, and Scott is talking to the Brit. And Scott, at this point, unlike the people who've gotten into veterinary school and are chefs and restaurateurs,
Yeah.
he's like, he's all downbeat, and he says, "People just don't realize that this economy, there's not the jobs out there. People want to work hard, but there's just not the jobs." And then, the Brit feels sorry for him, so he raises a glass and he's like, "Yeah. That was deep, because the economy is in the tank." So
Yeah,
what's Scott supposed to do?
He's going to be a millionaire. He's going to be a millionaire very soon, because we have a scene
he is
where
going to be.
his girlfriend, the
We're not there yet.
veterinary
We're
student-
not there yet. We're not there yet. We go.
I feel like we've barely
We now go.
got into this movie.
No, but the opening, introducing the characters, that's the main part of this review. I'm going to find. I think we're going to speed through it a bit more now, because now we've got Scott at home, and he's looking up, jungle on the internet, and he finds that where they are in Panama, there's this crazy jungle where people have died, gone missing, and no human can ever trek through it. So of course he becomes obsessed with this over the
Don't
next
go there.
12 hours or so. And yeah, exactly, the don't go there
go
special.
there.
Don't go, Scott. You've just been warned by the internet not to go there.
And he also comes across some like video of some
Yeah.
person's like last moments.
Yeah, it's that classic found footage,
footage,
style.
yeah.
Minus the snot. So then we go to the beach the next day. The lads are at the beach. They're all lined up. And he's like, "Come on, ladies." Because, they're bros. And they go surfing. And then we get surf cam with modern dance music. Just surfing, man. Let's just surf for the next 5 minutes in this movie. Because that's what we're here to do. They told the audience we're here to surf and party. We've seen them party. Now it's time to see them surf. And I thought it was great. And then when they
You're
finished,
getting so pent up about surfing. It's starting to literally push me off the sofa.
when they finish surfing, they're back on the beach, and who's joined them? Julio, happy Julio. Julio's there. And that's when we get to hear the legend of the chupacabra.
Are you not jumping ahead now? Because when they were all in the pool,
If I've missed something out, please let me know.
so the like drinking shots through the like eyes night when they first meet the girl and Julio, when everyone else has gone to bed, so I assume at like 5 a.m. or something,
When Scott's looking at
they're
the
in
internet.
the pool
Yeah.
still drinking and in their little couples and stuff, and the girl is the one who tells them about this amazing waterfall in
No,
the
that's later. Yeah, that's later, and that's after this actually.
oh.
So so the way we get to hear about the chupacabra is Scott. He sees Julio there. It's, "Oh, look, it's Julio the local. He's going to be good to ask any because he'll know everything." So he's like, "Hey, Julio, I heard the locals around here believe in the chupacabra," and it's no joke. It's no joke. So do you remember this scene? You remember the scene after it? When Julio goes on about the chupacabra,
Yeah, but
and he's like, "The chupacabra is a demon. Do not go into the jungle." And he warns them straight away. He's like, "When we used to be kids, I used to go into the jungle. Now I do not go there anymore." He doesn't go there anymore. So it's very clear. He's not beating around the bush. He said it in English, as clear as you can get. "I used to go there. I wouldn't go there anymore. Don't go." Now we get to the bit where
So when are the girls
the
on
two
the beach
girls
then?
the two girls are talking now, and she's saying, "Oh, everything's about Charlie." Charlie the one's moaning about.
Yeah, the chef.
So now we get to hear why Scott is going to be loaded.
A millionaire.
Yeah.
Because, so his girlfriend shows the restaurateur a app that he is developing. Scott's developing an app, which
It's in beta mode.
which will instantaneously upload your social media footage, and it like knows who's tagged and stuff. But basically, it's like Facebook Live, if that's a thing. I don't remember the last time I went on Facebook and used it, but it's a live stream essentially. And I was like, how is this app going to make him millions?
Yeah, because the girl then says to her, whoa, as you said, you're going to make millions. Don't forget about me. And also, this app, it took ages to load, like to send the data. You even had like a loading bar, like you've just turned on your Apple phone. It's not quick.
Plus, I'm pretty sure nowadays most social media has a thing that already suggests, oh, is it this person? Let me tag their account. Which was the other like feature of it. I was like, what is the point?
So you're saying that someone isn't going to come in and buy Scott's pattern? Because if they're not, then that scene where he's complaining about the economy being in the tank and stuff, that takes on way more, kind of like gravitas, importance.
To be fair though, if your friend shows you something like this
He's
and they're
gonna
like,
be hit
oh,
in the pocket.
my beloved partner has created this, would you take a look at it and be like, well, that's shit? Or would you kind of be like, oh, like that's impressive?
Well, too many questions to answer. Now we're at the bit where they're in the water. So this is the bit you wanted to talk about, when they're in the water.
Pool, yeah. And the girl is still with the frat guy, right? He's the single one.
Trevor. Single Trev.
So she's still with him, and she starts talking about...
Well, we're still like pretty much the same night. The day after. It's the day after.
I don't know.
The night after.
Yeah, it can't have been that
It's
long.
the night after.
But either way, they're still drinking in the pool in the middle of the night, and I think
it's the last time they can get together and do this. Got to be drinking.
Scott brings up this forest that you mentioned he'd found online, and then the girl who's like the local, she mentions that there's this amazing mystical like waterfall in the middle of the jungle, and she knows how to get there and she'll take them. Which Julio then finds out about, and he's like, promise me you will not take them. She's like, I promise.
Julio's maid, I believe her name's Carmen, possibly.
Yeah, actually, that makes sense.
He's made Carmen, like you say, promise not to take them. But before this, the guys really, really want to go because they're let into the know that it will give them a jumbo cock. So if you get into this water, it's jumbo cock time. But Julio, he doesn't care about jumbo cock. He's like, look, I'm going to tell you again.
Don't do it.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
Do not go there.
So they go anyway, right?
Of course.
They go anyway.
Of course.
And happy Julio, while they're driving away, he notices the next day that they're gone. He's coming out the surf with his surfboard. He's had a great day. He's happy. And he asks his local...
He's living a clean life.
Yeah. He asks his local bartender. He's like, oh, did you see the gringos, foreigners? And she's like, oh yeah, those gringos, they drove off with Carmen.
Those gringos.
And then all of a sudden, like, happy Julio's heard this news and... Sad Julio.
Why does he care?
That's literally in my notes later. but we get sad Julio. He's been really happy this whole time, even when he's like warning people, do not go and see the chupacabra. But now that they're gone, he's beside himself. Poor Julio. So he looks sad. He's a very nice local. Carmen's taken him, so now they had an...
He has to go out of his way now.
Absolutely, but they've been informed that it's going to take an hour's drive to get there, so we don't witness that, we just witness sad
An hour's
Julio.
drive and an hour's hike is what they're told. Now yeah, that sounds like a great idea for one of our only days in Panama.
So then we start the hike, and we just see general hiking stuff, and Julio is in hot pursuit in his car, and he decides to phone Carmen to tell her that she's el stupido.
He also has Scott's number.
And, yeah, he's got everyone's number.
Leaves voicemails on everyone's
Everyone
phones.
wants to be friends with Julio.
And Carmen's really naughty because she keeps putting his phone calls away, and she's taken them even though she promised not to. And I don't really get it because they were definitely setting up Carmen to look like she was somehow in on some chupacabra scheme. But that's not really how it seemed to turn out.
That's how it works in South America. You know, they're in on that kind of stuff, aren't they? We're told over here, you know, don't trust Hispanics and things. So that's why, you know, people are scared to go to Mexico and Panama because of chupacabras and their schemes with the locals. The chupacabra scheme, you know. We all know about that.
Yeah, we all know.
What I noticed while they were hiking, you know, the hour hike to get to this waterfall, out of all the girls there, they just gave one of them a sweaty cleavage. Like, why have you given this poor actress, this one character, just a really, really wet, sweaty cleavage, and the other two are just sort of off scot-free? So now I get to the waterfall, finally.
Well, hang on, because...
Start to lark about.
I was going to say, they're following this person that they just met a couple of days ago. They don't really
Carmen,
know her.
I think,
Karma.
yeah. Carmen.
Karma.
we had a Karma in the previous episode.
Yeah,
I think I called her Destiny.
Yeah, okay, so they're following this person they just met a couple of days ago, or a day ago even.
Mm-hmm.
They're walking in completely deserted, overgrown jungle in a foreign country, Panama. I don't actually know much about the wildlife, but I'm pretty sure most jungles have at least something that you don't want to come into contact with.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just walking for more than an hour because they keep commenting it's taking so long. And I was like, why has none of you just thought this is a really, really bad idea?
Well, you've seen them around the bar.
Yeah, they're real smart.
When they get to the waterfall, we get an original scene where I think I've already said, I'm pretty sure the Brit's name is Charlie. Someone says to him, how deep do you think this waterfall goes? So he's like, I'll check, and goes under. And you know, all of a sudden it's 5 seconds. What was it, 7 seconds, 9 seconds, 13 seconds. Then people starting to get worried. Charlie? Then the dun, dun, dun. Music starts. Oh my God, where's Charlie? Someone goes down.
Can't find him.
I couldn't see him. And then everyone's in a panic. Everyone's in a blind panic. And finally, oh, here he is. Look, it's Charlie. Oh God, Charlie.
Well, he jumps up behind his
Charlie, you are
missus.
so Charlie.
He like completely freaks her out, and then she's having a hissy fit.
She's
and
not
goes
happy,
off and
is
sits
she?
on a rock.
No.
And
Helena, that's her name.
one of the other women has to go and like convince him to go and talk to her. They're like, "You've been through so much. Don't just let it crumble apart." I was like, these two should clearly just not be together because my God, they've been so like pissy with each other.
Yeah. Then Carmen decides to take Trevor off, you know, by themselves.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And he says to her, walking through the jungle or through the forest, "Hey, how do you say blue balls in Spanish? Because that's what you give me right now." So it turns out the water does give you a jumbo cock. So the
dumb.
legend is true. So believe that legend. You better believe the legend of the chupacabra. And by the way, as they're going off into the forest by themselves, the two lads that are still in the waterfall, they're like, "Oh yeah, are you going over there? Or I heard it's actually pretty good over there." You know, did you enjoy that gentle comedy?
How old is the person who directed this? Because there's a lot of, I mean, how many you've mentioned already. This is very advanced humour.
So then we're back to Julio. He looks back on the blower. He's trying to get hold of anyone that he can, right? And he's driving.
He also calls his uncle.
Full,
like,
full pace.
"I need help, uncle, call me back."
He's trying to get his family members involved for these
why,
morons.
Why would his uncle give
I
a
was
rat's
thinking, like,
arse?
so he's got on the phone and he's driven all this way in the car. He knows a chupacabra is in there. He's going to believe his own legend. So he gets there. Why not just stay in the car rather than just wander into the forest on your phone? And then eventually
no one's answering,
being chased out.
and he clearly wants to get these gringos out alive. So
And like
he
say,
does. He follows them.
Why does he care
into
about
the
these
jungle.
people? Why does he even like these people? I'm starting to question Julio's, you know, Mr. Nice Guy approach now as well. Does he just like anyone and everything?
There's also like a limit, in my opinion, to being just a good person and helping others out. He's warned them. He's called them. He's left voice messages. He's done everything. Going and putting yourself in danger seems like just. Why? Yeah, why?
When do you
Why,
cross
Julio?
over yourself?
Why do you do this?
When do you cross over yourself from just nice guy into moron territory as well? Is it this, like warning people about the legend and then just going there yourself and getting out your car and going into the forest?
He has a heart of gold, but yeah. And he's chased out of the jungle before he even gets to them because there's a chupacabra.
Mm-hmm. So the girl is spooked while she's making out with Trevor.
Mm-hmm. Carmen.
And she makes Trevor investigate. So then he's walking off by himself, and all of a sudden he hears Carmen scream, and he finds something on the floor. I forget what it was. And then all of a sudden the others come out of nowhere, and they try and phone Carmen, but they can't get hold of her. And we're back then to Julio driving in the dark. He's driving away from the forest now. He's driven all this way to get to the forest, but now he's been spooked, so he's driving away again. And the gang are now in the jungle after dark, and they're lost. And the group, wouldn't you know it, is fracturing. They're starting to fall apart.
Starting.
Yeah. And then they're all running scared all over the place, because I think if they hear something, it's obviously got to be the chupacabra at this point. And then we get a whole bunch of like, Charlie, is that you? Carmen, is that you? Fuck! What the fuck's happening? It seemed like it went on forever.
What really annoyed me as well was that so Scott has his phone with him, and of course they keep thinking, oh, we need to call for help or whatever, and he's like, oh, I've got no signal here. When we were making our way up, I was going in and out. So I was like, okay, so, see if you can work your way back the way you came. Mm. 1, you'll be getting yourself out of the jungle, and 2, you might come into some coverage. But no. He's like, we should make for higher ground. I might be able to get signal there.
Yeah, they decide to go up after Charlie.
They go further into this jungle.
After Charlie has just been mauled by what looked like a vampire bat. So I'm not sure at this point if it was a chupacabra, because this one looked like a vampire bat. And now the group are at breaking point. So they're already fracturing. Now they're at breaking point. Like I say, they go to this point, and then that's when we get the opening scene again of Scott talking to himself while he hears, I believe, Trevor being mauled in the background, and the 2 girls and an economy guy are left after the other ones have been dragged around. So we got Scott and 2 chicks, and Julio ends up seeing Scott's video.
Yeah, but has Scott not filmed the other dude yet
Trevor being dragged off?
Yeah, because after he films that flashback forward thing.
Flashback forward, back.
And hears his friend screaming. He goes and, oh yeah, that was the other thing. So he comes back to where he'd left the 3 of them. Mm. And Trevor is lying on his back, covered in blood, his own blood, and looking, half dead, but he's still alive. And Scott's just like, Trevor, where are the girls?
Mm. To be fair, that now backs up your point about him maybe not being as scared as he was. Because at the beginning I said, no, well, we don't know what he's scared of yet. But now we're introduced to what he's scared of. And before, well, what he's supposed to be scared of, as I should say.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, he...
So yeah, his performance at that point is very blasé. Like, what are you doing on the floor, Trev?
And you see your friend, in this state, and you're just like, oh, where are the girls? Like, no shock, no like, are you okay? And then obviously Trevor just gets like dragged away by some beast that we half see, which is the chupacabra.
Well, I don't know. It's still like a vampire bat to me at this point.
And guess what? Scott's millionaire app is working, and this video has been uploaded to his social media, his Facebook, I believe, specifically. Mm-hmm. And have we gotten to the bit yet where like the rest of the world kind of gets involved?
That's kind of at the end.
Oh,
someone. So Julio sees this Scott video because he's driving again. He's driving. He's seen this video, and he comes to an army base. And he tells them about the gringos.
Oh, yeah.
He tells them all about the gringos.
Uncle.
Oh, is that his uncle? I didn't catch that the army guy was his uncle. I just thought he'd driven to the army base. Like, I got to tell you about these gringos.
Because he kept calling, like, Uncle, I need your help. Like, I need your help. And then it's his uncle who, like, is one of these commandos.
So it's Uncle Army Man, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't pick that up, but I just thought, right, he's driven.
It wasn't made very obvious.
Driven to the army base and telling them about the gringos. Scott, at this point as well, Scott, who's been making the videos, his brother has been woken up in real time, like back in England or wherever he's from, probably
This is
American.
the bit I was going to say as well.
He's informed that it's all gone wrong, and then he informs his and Scott's mother. So at least at this point, the next of kin have been informed. So we're getting that news out there early. The jobs are being done already.
Yeah, well, this live upload that Scott's phone did with Trevor being dragged off and whatnot, it's going viral. So it's some
it's
mutual
doing serious numbers.
friend who calls his brother, who's in the States or whatever.
It's so worldwide.
And then his brother and his brother's missus are like getting up from bed to watch this video, and you see their reaction to this, like, and then you see it going just like viral all over the world.
Yeah.
And so obviously now with the added pressure, do you think Julio's uncle would have done anything had the viral thing not happened at the same time? Do you think he's such a caring person like Julio?
He clearly knows about the legend. That's why Julio's ringing
is he going to
his uncle.
These military unit at risk for some gringos?
Well, in order to maybe catch Chupacabra, because that's the ultimate mission. We mentioned how viral this thing goes. It gets so viral that it gets so mainstream that we cut to a scene of just office workers and they're like. So one of them's clearly like, "Hey man, did you see the news last night, man? The Chupacabra. Hey, by the way, get those papers over to HR next week because we gotta move this project along. But hey, we'll talk about the Chupacabra next cigarette break." So that's how mainstream it is. The guys who've got to just push paperwork and stuff. It's all they can talk about, the water tank in the office and things.
Yeah.
So now, as you so informed me that this army guy's Julio's uncle.
I believe, yeah.
Right. The National Guard are now on it, aren't they? Mm-hmm. They're on it, and they're all careening towards the forest.
Yeah, and at this point we are only aware of Scott and the two girls.
Video
right?
Scott and two girls, yeah.
Yeah, Trevor's gone, Carmen's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep getting...
Trevor finds Carmen just face down in a cave or something like this. He's kind of pulling himself through a cave at some point.
Oh, yeah.
This is Trevor... Don't go there
Trevor
episode.
Trevor's been dragged off, so I assumed he was dead, but then we actually cut to Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, so it seems the Chupacabra has brought him to its lair, its cave system thing.
Do you think the Chupacabra likes to taunt, keep its victims alive for a little while, then play with them a bit? Because, like you said...
Fresh meat.
It seemed like Trevor's dead, but he's just in shock.
Mm-hmm. And he's got a serious leg injury or something. But we get all these shots of him dragging himself through the tunnels over the top of decomposed corpses and whatnot. And he was making so much noise. And I understand he's supposed to be in pain, but I was like, just don't move then, or surely
just lay there and die.
Shock. But he obviously draws the Chupacabra to himself.
Well, Trev hasn't shown himself to be too smart during the whole movie, has he? So
what?
Yeah. So now the National Guard are on it, as we said. So they're in the forest, and we get a Chupacabra having a tug of war with one of our characters. Chupacabra's trying to take a woman, and the human's trying to take a woman back. So we get a Chupacabra tug of war. Chupacabra loses, because I think something happens to him. Something must happen to him, because how are you going to beat the Chupacabra in a tug of war?
Well, is this not when the army thing comes in and they shoot it away?
Yeah, well, no, because one of the... but they're still in the forest at this point, having this tug of war. So the humans win the tug of war in the end. And then one of our cast has escaped the forest, and she sees the chopper in the air, so she assumes that she's going to be safe. She's in the hold, here I am.
But it's a news chopper.
Someone's locked in on her, though.
No, that's a camera. It's the news. The helicopter is the news, and they're like, "Oh, shall we land and pick her up?" And the guy back in the office is like, "No, we need to keep the cameras on her. We need these shots for live TV.
We need the shots for the audience." Mm-hmm. And like I said, the National Guard are also
there. So
there.
they don't land to pick her up.
But they don't bother blowing away the Chupacabra. She lures the Chupacabra out, and instead of just taking him out, they're like, "Oh, let's just wait a minute."
They can't. It's a news.
See what happens to someone's got a gun at this point. I know they have. Someone's got a gun, and they just let her die. The Chupacabra gets it, because then the army do turn up, and the Chupacabra just gets blown away quite easily. And of course, the Chupacabra is the vampire that thing.
Yeah.
That I wasn't sure at first, because I've never seen a Chupacabra. But,
Well-
you know, the Chupacabra looked pretty good, but it just looked like a vampire bat, so it wasn't its own thing, you know.
Again, I think it must clearly be saying, as I thought, that there's more than one.
Well,
so it is like Bigfoot.
There is more than one. You've answered your own question from the beginning of this episode now, because now we've seen it go viral everywhere, but now it's national news. It's actually like hit hardline news, and the news are reporting on multiple sightings of chupacabras around the world, and they particularly focus in on one, the chupacabra in Texas. So the chupacabra of Texas gets a particular shout out, and maybe that's going to be the sequel, Chupacabra in Texas. That sounds like a movie I would watch.
It does.
Chupacabra in Texas. I'm going to get right to work on that. Do you want to be in it?
I think I'll read the script first.
I'll offer you straight up the role of the Chupacabra. Done. Yeah, so that's how it ends. The Chupacabra in Texas, which hasn't been produced yet.
Yeah.
Soon though.
Not the worst movie ever, but just not.
Typical dumb shit.
Moving on to Catacombs.
Catacombs, starring Shannon Sossamon, from the producer of Saw. Can you believe it? The producer of Saw.
We're not going to get this
is
again,
now
are
bringing
we?
you Catacombs, so another movie where someone is underground in a darkly lit, tight space. That's from the producer of Saw.
You know, I said one of the things I didn't like about the previous movie we just finished reviewing was that I found the characters really annoying.
Yeah.
I challenge anyone to watch Catacombs and not hate everybody in it.
Well, as we
my
know,
God.
the Catacombs are in France, and I gotta tell you, I fucking hate the French.
Well, I mean, there are catacombs all over the world, but they're focusing on the
Yes.
Paris.
Did you know that in the
Catacombs.
most romantic city in the world, just 100 feet below, there is the biggest mass grave in history? That's some information that we get at the beginning. And we're also going to get a voiceover, another voiceover opening, kind of, after some trance rock party, like in the Catacombs. Trance
Gonna
rock.
break the whole thing
You know,
down.
it's like Uwe Boll's House of the Dead all over again with some trance rock party. Then we go to the voiceover of Shannon Sossamon. She's like, 48 hours after I arrived here, everybody I met was dead. So it's very much a House of the Dead
House of the
opening,
Dead
isn't
opening.
it? You know, and why not borrow from that?
Yeah, she discloses to us that she got a postcard or something from her sister in London. No, in Paris.
London.
Not London.
You're moving on to the sequel.
Yeah, in Paris, just being like, hey, come over, it would be good for you. And so she apparently decides to do this, which would make you assume that maybe she and her sister are quite close. But then she gets there, and I think she already has a bad experience at the airport, doesn't she?
She gets a bag search at the airport and they find her pills.
And she's like, I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't understand. It's so annoying.
And the two French officers like each other, oh, I don't think she speaks French. And then they just start laughing out loud.
Oh, God. So anyway, after a hold-up and then her sister doesn't come for ages, she is finally picked up. And her sister instantly starts saying stuff like, hey, so how are you? And her sister said, oh, I've got a bit of a headache. And she's like, there's a sister I knew.
Well, you're just kind of skating over one really important matter about this.
Am I?
Yeah.
Enlighten me.
Shannon Sossamon, as you say, has been invited to Paris by her sister.
Yeah.
Her sister Pink.
Oh, is that who that was?
Yeah, the pop star Pink.
You're kidding
is Shannon
me.
Sossamon's sister. And let me tell you, Pink is a pop star.
Wow. Okay, I had no idea.
Pink. So then Pink takes Shannon to her
Is she
apartment.
credited as Pink, or does she use her...
I didn't know. I was just too startled by the fact that Pink was starring in the movie opposite Shannon
Are you
Sossamon.
sure it's her?
I am 100% sure that this is Pink.
Okay.
I was waiting for you to notice during the watching of the movie.
Huh.
Yeah. So here we are, Pink and Shannon Sossamon in Paris. Pink's taking her up her stairwell, and she's telling her this like.
Sounds like some sort of innuendo.
Yeah. Well, let's leave it at that then.
They get to her apartment where she's living,
No, they're walking up the
right?
stairwell, and Pink is explaining how this place is haunted. So as she's walking up the stairs, Shannon Sossamon, she sees a boy in an alcove with a butter knife. So there's a little butter knife boy there. And then when she gets to the next floor, she sees a vision for some
Chilling.
reason of a surgeon in a bloodied smock doing surgery. And at this
I
point,
see dead people.
Pink then tells her, you know, I'm just playing with you. This place isn't really haunted. And she just stops seeing visions after that. And she goes, they get to Pink's
She's got
door.
that annoying face, like, expression on her face the whole time as well, like.
Yeah, but the chills don't end there. They get to Pink's front door and they enter this darkened apartment building, and there's a guy in a mask. Scared the crap out of Shannon Sossamon. They turn on the light and it's a bunch of French boys just laughing at their fantastic prank. And then Pink scolds them and is like, shouldn't be doing this.
Does Pink live with all three of those guys?
That's something I was also unclear of, because why are they there sitting in the dark while she's gone? So that would seem to fit. You know, this is Paris, it's expensive. This is a loft apartment.
And then we get,
Hang on. What we get is Pink just scolded all the French guys for trying to scare the crap out of Shannon Sossamon.
Scalded.
Out of Shannon Sossamon.
Shannon.
And Shannon Sossamon then says that she wants to go to sleep. But she's informed, hell no.
This is what I was about to say.
It's going to be a party.
She's just spent 24 hours or so traveling, and she said she couldn't sleep on the flight and all of this. So yeah, you're going to be exhausted. I'm in her shoes, 100%. She needs to sleep. But yeah, as you say, her sister is like...
Pink.
says, nuh-uh, we've got tickets to this amazing underground rave.
It's another rave of the century.
It's going to be lit AF.
Mm-hmm.
And
but of
she's
course,
not taking no for an answer.
Before you party, what have you got to do? Shopping!
Oh, God, yeah.
So we're in Paris, fashion capital of the world, and we got Pink and Shannon Sossamon drive around on the Vespa, shopping for the rave of the century in the Paris
outfit.
Catacombs.
No one's going to see what the hell you're wearing down there.
She's not tired anymore because, it's shopping. Now we're going to go shopping in Paris.
Yeah.
She's forgotten all about that,
Sunshine and shopping
faux
makes
drug
everything
bust.
better.
It wasn't sunny.
No.
It was very overcast.
But either way, Pink has already been such a biatch to Shannon this whole time. And then when Shannon says again, throughout, at the beginning, before, after.
Did you like the shopping montage as a woman?
So out of place. And all I was thinking was do these girls have money to spend on just a random outfit for a rave thing?
Is it true that before you go to a party, you have to go shopping?
No.
Right, so this is just an outright lie.
Actually, yeah. With your husband's credit card. Yeah, so Shannon is tired as hell. She's got a headache. And all she wants to do is go to bed. But she just lets her sister bully her into going. She's being such a wet fish. I was like, yeah, she needs to put her foot down.
Well, Pink is known for being a bit street, so Shannon Sossamon would have to show some serious cojones to, out-street Pink in this case. So best just to go partying, I guess. She's just been taken shopping. Let's just humour her, and we'll be out of there by midnight, I guess.
And then we get to the don't go there.
Before we get to the party, though, Pink briefly catches Shannon with her pills in the bathroom. And kind of like, one of those, almost kind of thing, Shannon,
again, just being a bitch.
Shannon's embarrassed. And like I say, then we're off to the party. And how do we know we're off to the party? It's like, some awesome French rap. Do you like French rap?
I love it. It's my favourite genre.
Would you like to give it a go?
No.
Because you're just never going to live up to what I just did, I guess.
Yeah, and then we find out that not only are these... Did we mention already that the party...
could chart in France.
The rave is...
No joke.
Happening in the catacombs, right? And they're like...
Well, the movie's called Catacombs.
But I also don't understand because they're like, it's all shut to the public and blah, 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 and you can't go down there, and that's why it's such an
Well, this is an
off-the-wall
illegal
rave.
party.
And again, Shannon don't go there. You know it's illegal, and you're a tourist, and just so many reasons. Just don't do it. So dumb.
Well, if we don't do it, then we haven't.
And it's going to stink
we haven't
down
got
there.
a movie
It's
called
not
The Catacombs. While we're there, Pink has got the knowledge, so Pink explains the history of the Catacombs, and then we're introduced to the MC of this party, who takes a liking to Shannon, and takes Shannon to his room.
But it turns out Pink knows him as well.
Pink knows him too. Pink knows everyone. Pink's been around in France. And he gives Shannon Sossamon a drink of absinthe, which she just... And
apparently we found out that she doesn't normally drink.
Doesn't drink, but she's on a massive shot. And I say a
After not
shot of
sleeping.
absinthe doesn't exist. You have to nurse it with sugar cubes and stuff like this. She's just... So that's that.
Hardcore.
You'd be on the floor. You wouldn't be able to do anything after that. So that's the movie over there. You're right. It shouldn't be called. It should just be end absinthe. The end. So then, while they're at this story, the MC starts to tell the story of this
my God.
mystical being that could be down in the catacombs.
Yeah, something. Oh wait, we haven't even mentioned. I swear it's this one that again has one of those intro things before it gets into the story, and it's some girl,
very likely,
someone who we don't ever see again, I believe, running through the catacombs away from something, and I think there's a rave going on then as well, and she's about to get into the rave, and something grabs her, and you know that she's done for. So that's, going back now to what you were saying.
Yeah, what he just tells the story is like a child born of incest, raised on raw meat, no sunlight, created a lunatic so evil that he may truly be the Antichrist. So that's some chilling French storytelling.
Also, they were basically when they mentioned that, he was shown no love and raised on raw meat only and never saw the sun. What do you think would happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's what do you think is going to be the end result of that?
I think it means that he would never have made it past childhood. You wouldn't survive 3 days being fed just raw meat. But what kind of baby can just have
According to the French, he's the Antichrist,
baby.
so he's the baby Antichrist, so he can probably survive anything. But let's not worry about any of that. Let's just go skinny dipping. So we go into the catacombs after being told about this flesh goat man, and let's just go skinny dipping. But everyone does go skinny dipping except
Shannon.
Yeah, she will not. And she gets, a lot of hassle for it, doesn't she? Everyone's given her hassle for it.
Nobody cares.
All these, libertarian free Frenchmen, and Pink obviously doesn't give a damn because she's street. So she's just in there naked straight away.
She's also just living her free boho rave life, which includes a lot of nipple.
So then Shannon Sossamon, because she's not going to go in, she decides, well, if you guys are just going to sit around and skinny dip, I'm out of here. And they all warn her, you can't go off by yourself because you'll get lost, you never find your way back. But she does it anyway. And of course, she's the witness to see shots of her just wandering around the dark tunnels of the catacombs. But it's not long before Pink does catch up with her. And then we start seeing something in the shadows. And it gets Pink. It gets Pink.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's taking you, it's sideswiped you upside their head. Pink's gone.
And we see her with, I think it's her neck that's slashed, isn't it? With blood coming out. So Shannon's pretty distraught.
I guess you weren't taken aback then, because you weren't aware it was Pink. I was like, oh my god, this is the Drew Barrymore moment in Scream, and just taken Pink out. How am I going to get through the rest of the movie without Pink?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like. So Shannon's running off.
For me, because I knew who it was. You didn't.
Okay, yeah. Now I remember. I was going to say, because she meets up with someone again. But basically, we see her just running through the catacombs for ages. Running through the catacombs oh no, something's chasing me. Oh, I don't know where I'm going. Oh,
dead end.
And then she...
There's at least 5 dead ends.
Finally gets to, the party, the rave is going on just past her, almost filled up archway filled with bones and stuff.
She's being chased by the guy with a lamp, by the way. He's got a lamp. So that was quite scary. This guy born of incest who is truly the Antichrist. He's got a lamp because he lives down in the catacombs, so he's smart.
Yeah, and his eyes haven't adjusted after an entire lifetime. But so we get that scene of her, like, clambering over the bones with her legs behind, and it's trying to pull her back, and then she falls into the rave.
Over the skulls.
Over the skulls. And within, like, 2 seconds, the MC has just, like, found her. Did you notice that?
Well, no, it can't be within 2 seconds. Now, the police have now raided the illegal rave.
That's when they, like, see each other, but then they get separated again because the police come and raid.
I thought as soon as she got in, the police raided, and that was that.
The MC and her make... it doesn't matter. Yeah, the police raid the place, and now she's off
I
in the
do recall you
catacombs alone
saying,
again.
does he walk through the crowd to see her again?
Yeah, they're,
right.
like, reaching out, and then the police raid happens, and they can't... Like, they get separated again.
When the police raid happens, you know, Shannon Sossaman's just been attacked. She's finally found herself back into the rave. Why don't you just stand still and get arrested?
I know.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like,
spend the night in the drunk tank.
It's not only a dark maze out there from which you may never return, there also seems to be some homicidal being roaming its halls. So why are you going back into there instead of just staying...
being as well.
Like, the worst that's going to happen outside is that you get put in a jail cell for a bit. But, like, compared to what she thinks is down there, I think that's a small price to pay. But, you know, she doesn't do that.
Well, she hasn't had any sleep, I guess, so she's not thinking straight.
And
she's just gone straight to party after shopping.
She obviously gets knocked out in the, like, crowd as she's running away. She bangs her head on something. And when she wakes up from being passed out, apparently they just didn't spot her. And they left her down there. And the exit's been locked up, of course.
And then we just get loads more shots of her just, again, wandering around the catacombs, getting lost, coming to dead ends again, and then just wandering around again. But luckily now, there's another guy down there. It's the Frenchman, Henri. He can't speak English.
Weird. That was such a weird thing.
Didn't like that.
She kind of instantly treats him when they first meet like he's just some harmless guy.
He's giving weird body language, isn't he?
Being weird, and at one point he seems quite aggressive. I think it's because, he comes and takes her torch, which is better than his or whatever, and I think he physically, like, assaults her, like, hits her or something, and then within 2 seconds, instead of being like, shit, this guy, I'm alone in the anything could happen, she's like, don't be an asshole, give me my torch back. And I was like, wow.
I feel like he's been on the Chablis.
Wowza.
And
yeah, luckily he doesn't actually end up
consequences.
really trying to do anything, and the two of them team up and continue to work their way out. He's got a map. He's got a map,
which is good.
Yeah, and he's, like, figured out, oh, this is an exit. So the two of them are working their way through.
And maybe he thinks, you know, I'm the guy with the map. She's going to like this.
He does.
So now I can make my move.
He does make a move,
but instead he gets kicked in the nuts. Mm-hmm. So the map wasn't enough to seal the deal.
Yeah, no, didn't do it for her. So then, as they're making their way through... I don't know if they're being chased at this point or not, but either way, he falls through, like, some old rotten boards or something.
No, they're not being chased.
And he's, you know, broken his leg, of course, quite a fall. And then we get Shannon, this tiny, tiny little skinny girl, like, trying to drag him out of this hole with his broken leg, and she just keeps dropping him back on it. And it reminded me of when I broke my wrist as a kid. And I asked my mum to, like, hold it steady for me because it was hurting, and she obviously thought I was just being a drama queen, and she kept, like, chucking my wrist away.
That's enough of the Karen life. Let's get back to the catacombs, yeah?
Yeah, fascinating catacombs.
Right, so she can't lift up Henri, so she just leaves him.
Yeah, she
Henri's
just dumps him.
Not very happy about this, but then she just sees him again pretty quickly.
Yeah, she like tricks him. She takes his map, and she's got the torch. And bearing in mind how pissed off she was not long before when she thought that he'd abandoned her and been like, I'm gonna die here, she just kind of goes, I'm sorry, I'll come back with help. And just wanders off.
He doesn't accept the apology when he comes back.
No, he's pretty pissed off. And then she's just...
strangles her.
Again, this really bothered me, and I think I even said it to you. I was like, how hard is it to read a map? Because she just goes round in circles.
Well, in this day and age, you know, with technology just making us not think for ourselves.
It's really
a map is impossible for most people, I guess. How about
there's literally
using
like
a compass?
The signs on every crossroad, and she's just like, I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah. So he attacks her, starts to strangle her, and the torch that he's taken off her, she manages to she gets it and obviously hits him over the head with it. And that's kind of enough to deter him. Then she's alone again. And not just dead ends and endless corridors. And I'll get some bats and rats. Rats and bats. Up and down. The rats are at my feet. Bats are above. What else can we fit into the catacombs here? I thought at this point, the producer Saw could have stepped in. And some kind of doll could have scooted in on his bike. And be like, hello, Shannon. You're down here in the catacombs because you've been a real twat. And something like that. And your dead sister Pink.
Oh, have we gotten yet to the bit? So she actually finds a door that would be an exit, right?
A door, yeah.
And bearing in mind, this
Lo and
is
behold, it's a
the
door.
first time she got super spooked was when the French guy took her torch. She thought, some monster was behind her, but it was just the guy. Now this time, she's like banging on the door or whatever, and she wants to get out, etc. And then you see the silhouette of what is clearly just a person through the little window pane. And they're like banging as well. And what does she do? Instead of being like, oh, thank God, I'm rescued, she runs away.
Well, again, there's a lack of sleep could make you act very erratically.
So annoying.
It could be the Antichrist to her.
So annoying.
Because she's been to the Antichrist raised on meat guy's, I guess it was his bedroom, complete with a chicken.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So he's got a little lair. And at this point, I think the producer of Saw has stepped in again and he's like, right, we need some physical injury which comes from, metal. So in the bad guy's bedroom, there's a discarded bicycle and some of the spokes have come out. And as Shannon runs past, she gets spoked.
Yeah.
So that was chilling. That was gruesome.
So unbelievable.
So that's the producer of Saw stepping in there for, more basement injury.
And I don't know if it's in his den area, which there was a lot of effort put into, by the way, to make it look really lived in. But she at some point picks up some kind of weapon, and a fire safety axe or something. Mm-hmm. Am I right?
Yeah, I remember that.
And so
I remember that.
She's now, as we said, running away from these human people on the other side of the exit because she's scared of being let out, I guess.
She's taken to the catacombs.
And
she doesn't want to be on the outside world anymore.
she's running through the catacombs again with her axe in hand, and something...
her little hatchet.
Something comes up, and she's done that thing where you hide behind the wall so that when they come you can surprise them and get them, right? So she's gotten the stalker, and then all of a sudden she's surrounded by Pink. Not dead.
Oh, Pink's back.
Psych, she never died. And
but you
the
wouldn't
two
have been thinking
French
that.
guys and maybe someone else, I don't know. And
everybody's here.
They're like, oh, you should see your face, psych, we got you.
It's another psycho.
And it takes them ages to realise that she did get someone with a hatchet, and it's one of the guys, I think it's maybe the MC. Yeah. Either way, it's one of the group of those friends. And then Pink is explaining, oh my God, this was all just a big prank. That's what they do.
You ruined it.
You fucking bitch. And being such a cow. It's just such a weird reaction to finding out that your prank has gone wrong and your sister is now a murderer of one of your friends.
At least the character is consistent because she's just been, a total nightmare since Shannon arrived in Paris, and it continues right to the end of her story.
It's, yeah, I mean,
it also begs the question, why did she even invite her sister out? You may have already asked this, but...
And also, at this point, when you're not letting someone sleep, and then you're scaring them to this level, etc., it's not a prank, it's
psychological
low-key torture, yeah, exactly. And she's like, oh, it's supposed to be funny. I was like, that's not a funny prank.
Luckily, though, Pink then gets axed down.
Yeah, well, Shannon's finally had enough.
Yeah.
She's finally
surprise, it's Shannon that snaps.
And to be fair, she's already murdered someone. You might as well just get rid of that pain in the arse.
It was kind of satisfying to see Shannon Sossamon just smash everybody up after what she's been through and being,
But it all
screamed
was
at for it.
dumb. And also, when you then look back, it doesn't make sense. Like, watching this film, knowing that it was a prank the whole time, there are way too many, like, it's way too detailed and invested. And what about that flash scene we got right at the start of some girl being dragged away by a monster?
It's also...
I just don't get it.
Thanks to I Know What You Watched Last Week, this seems to be like a running theme, because before I'd only seen this kind of ending in the game, right, which I think might have been the first time it ever happened. And then we watched a movie a few episodes back, where again at the end of the movie, this guy's been psychologically tortured in this, again, Saw-like chamber with all his friends around. He thinks they're all dead. He comes out at the end and says, oh, surprise, no, it's just the game. Oh, but he's killed someone. We get exactly the same thing in this one. Am I just going to have to open myself up to seeing, expect to see more of this the more that we go through my watch list?
Good moral of the story is don't prank people to the point where they think their life is in danger. It might go wrong.
Well, you're not a fan of pranks anyway, are you? So
no, not ones that make anyone feel bad for any amount of time.
No. And after Shannon has now, gotten rid of everybody with her little hatchet, she goes back up to the streets of Paris, gets in a cab in her bloodied, I guess, new clothes from the Paris department stores.
Her rave outfit.
And she's in the cab, and the cabbie takes kind of one look at her. He does react a little bit. He's like, a fair's a fair, I guess. And off she goes to Paris airport. Whether she'll be stopped by security when she gets there, I don't know. But I've got to imagine that all's well that ends well for Shannon Sossamon.
Yeah, that's that movie. There's just a whole lot of running through the catacombs. And apart from, I guess, right at the beginning of the rave, when they're showing all the pillars and the decorative bits, it's very macabre. But, if you're into that kind of thing, it does look super cool. But apart from that, it's like 2 minutes worth of decent
Plus, obviously,
visual.
There's just better Catacombs movies than this, so it doesn't matter if you've seen it already. Yeah. So let's go on to number 1.
Numero uno.
Yes, The Cave from, I think, 2005. There's another instance, we've had the catacombs, we've had the forest, then we've got a cave. Don't go there.
Girl. Don't do it.
Don't go there.
Don't go there.
So The Cave, a $30 million blockbuster.
Oh,
and this is a $30 million movie.
Little bits are just coming back into my head, and I'm trying to think. So we actually start out with an all English sounding crew of explorers,
we open
right?
it in the past, 30 years back, yeah.
And
in Romania
these
again.
like British Indiana Jones people have found out the location of some old abandoned church, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And there's like rumours of something beneath the church, which I'm assuming either is like going to be an archaeological find or bring them riches or whatever, because they're very excited about it. So, despite not really being supposed to be there, don't go there, they go to this church and they smash a massive hole in the middle of the church floor. And lo and behold, it opens up to a cave.
And they get caved in, these
They
explorers.
get caved, yeah, the whole church
under the
crumbles around
Carpathians.
them.
Like I say, we're back in Romania. There's been a lot of Romania recently, and I know we watched last week.
All I can say is Indiana Jones wouldn't have let himself get crushed.
Well, he hasn't been to the cave, has he? He's only been to the Temple of Doom and stuff like this.
Oh yeah, and we also get told in this whole thing build up that the church was probably built there in the middle of nowhere to keep something contained. Yeah. So we're already basically being told that. Oh, and there's they also blow up. The floor has a mosaic on it with like knights,
Knight Templars,
yeah, fighting creatures. Yeah. So that's kind of ties in later. That's why I'm mentioning it.
Right. I was wondering myself. We get put back into present day, and there's a new team, and they're at sea. It's Jack's team. Jack and his brother Tyler, and they've been in the water, and they're just getting out of the water, getting back onto their boat. Jack takes off his helmet. Tyler takes off his helmet, and Jack's like, "When I call time, that's when we surface." Tyler's like, "Okay, I know, but no, when I call time, that's when we surface." So we're already introduced to their brothers. Seems like a little bit of beef there, a bit of tension between Jack and Tyler. But it's Jack's team. So he's got a team, and out of nowhere, this guy called Dr. Nikolai calls them for a FaceTime with his assistant, Dr. Jennings, And he's like, we found a new place to dig into.
We need the best of the best.
You're the only team that can do it. Mm-hmm. Are you up for the challenge? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah, they're loving it.
They are loving it. Of course, we're team number
because
one.
I think they get
one.
It's going to be like they need to chart some massive cave system, and they're super excited about it.
Yeah.
They love the prospect. They're also the type of people who are so advanced at what they do. They've created their own like air tanks, scuba tanks. So they've done some like cross-breed things so they can stay underwater for 24 hours at a time.
That's no mean feat. So Jack's team and Dr. Nikolai and his assistant, Dr. Jennings, they meet at the archaeological site. And straight away, you know, Tyler, it seems to be the younger, more roguish brother, he notices Dr. Jennings in a tent and he's like, oh my God, it's like a chick in the desert. He's like, I'm gonna go and, you know, goes and walks over there, but he quickly finds out that she's not that kind of lady. She's more impressed.
She's all business.
She's more impressed when his older, more conservative brother Jack walks in and just starts talking business. You know, she's really attracted to that. And Tyler knows straight away that he's out of the game. So, you know, forget women, head back in the game, all right? There's a reason why you're team number one.
There's also a guy in the team who apparently they found dancing on...
Whoa. That's like the best bit.
Maybe that's why it's one of the few points I remember.
So we get a
voiceover moment of how this team is put together.
We've got Dr. Jennings, and we've also got Alex Kim, right, the cameraman. Someone's brought along their own cameraman. Jack and Tyler, the brothers. Jack's
the
by
doctor and the cameraman are together.
So they've all met each other. We kind of like get who they are. And we get this girl Charlie. You know,
yeah, so we get the brothers who have another guy they work with, and the girl. The girl's called Charlie, who apparently like grew up with them. Mm-hmm. So she's one of the boys, but when we first see her, she's fixing something in like a tiny bikini with her tool belt.
Yeah. So you know, Charlie is both one of the boys and, you know,
eye candy
a sex siren, apparently.
And I haven't seen the Transformers movies, but it reminds me of what I imagine Megan Fox's role is.
So we got Charlie now at the bar. And everyone's like, Jack's team is mingling with Dr. Nikolai's team, who is pretty much just Dr. Jennings and the cameraman.
Yeah.
And Charlie's, she's at the bar with Dr. Jennings, and, you know, she's giving her the lowdown about the team. And she, as you say, she's like, yeah, we're like family. That's Briggs over there. We caught him tap dancing. We caught him table dancing at a club outside Calgary. He joined our team the next day.
I mean, the table dancing thing was so try hard, but tap dancing might actually have been better.
Would have been a classic scene. Yeah.
And this guy
That's Briggs. You know, it's like something that you see in Team America with one of the puppets, isn't it?
He's such a nightmare, this Briggs guy.
Well, he's been caught, you know, like, table dancing outside Calgary.
He thinks, as they say here, he thinks he's the dog's bollocks. And he's always, like, competing crazy. And trying to
We're a family.
He's annoying.
Yeah.
And the younger of the two brothers gets annoyed that he's always picked over him. And he's, like, ex-Marines or something.
Well, they're all kind of ex-something, aren't they? Because, you know, I've also got at the bar. So we've already had, you know, you say Charlie with a tool belt in her bikini or whatever, and you know she's given the lowdown at the bar, shooting the breeze. Now it's Jack's turn as leader of the team. It's like, okay, cool it. And he stands up, he's got to make his speech. And he's telling them all, you know, how important this is, and we're going to do great. And we're going to do even greater and greater and the greatest. And then it cuts to Charlie. And she's like, yeah! You know,
yeah,
she is the alpha male.
She literally goes, yeah!
Yeah!
She's totally down with the guys.
And then Nikolai is also then telling Tyler about, you know, these so-called monsters that, you know, legend of these monsters that are down there. So Dr. Nikolai has heard about these ancient beings down. So now they're in the cave, and it's time to abseil down. And what happens? Charlie, she doesn't even think about it. She's down there. She's going first. She's like, I'll leave you ladies behind. Mm-hmm. Charlie's already down because she doesn't need a man's permission to go abseiling. Mm-hmm. She goes first. We are also introduced now to Top Buchanan. He's the bald guy. Morris Chestnut. Rosewood himself, Top Buchanan. No relation, I believe, to Mitch Buchanan of Baywatch fame. And the first thing we see then, after we've been introduced to Top Buchanan, Mr. Morris Chestnut. Remember, I kept saying throughout the movie, Mr. Chestnut's here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It meant nothing to me.
Yeah, so he's here as Top Buchanan. And of course, Briggs, he's decided, I'm going to be the first one to go off and explore by myself. And they've set up a nerve centre, in his underground cave. Morris Chestnut's there checking on everything. Jack's there checking on everything. Charlie's there. We can see Briggs, and he's reporting back from somewhere else in the cave. I believe about 1 mile away, 3 miles down, he says something like this.
Yeah, Briggs has got his little sonar device thing
Yeah.
because he's trying to find somewhere further down the cave system where everyone else can follow with the equipment and they can set up a base further in.
Mm-hmm. So we can see Briggs on the computer, but all of a sudden, the computer, it goes blank for a second, and we can't see Briggs.
Uh-oh.
Everyone's like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. But then, of course, we already know previously by Charlie's description what Briggs is like. So everyone's like, hey, come on. It's Briggs. Nothing's happened to Briggs. And then, of course, the TV comes back on. And Briggs is there holding a sea-like creature in his hands.
Yeah, he's like, what is this? And he picks it up and it's like some sort of wombat or something from the sea. I don't know, but like a big rodent thing. And I was like, you have no idea what the hell that is. Why you're just like, yeah, let me pick it up. And obviously it kind of attacks him before it runs away.
No one in his team is too bothered either.
No one's telling him, be careful.
This
you don't know what that thing
species.
can do.
Not even Dr. Nikolai, who just previously warned them about these,
weird creatures,
weird beings down below. Even he doesn't pipe up. He just wombat.
Yeah, so that's already just dumb behaviour. But the good news for the team is that they have found a suitable spot for the whole expedition to move down. So yeah,
And
they begin their
This
scuba.
is also a high point for the movie because the underwater scenes they were nice. Nice.
Although I can't ever watch things like that without thinking about how difficult it would be to scuba dive through a cave with these massive air tanks on your back with all these stalactites.
Well, they're the world's number one
Stalagmites?
team, so ain't no thang.
Yeah,
to
but
them.
the doctor and the camera guy
Number
aren't.
one.
They're just being guided. But
They're
anyway,
numero uno.
I was like, somebody's gonna get snagged.
Okay, that's why Dr. Nikolai and his assistant Jennings and the cameraman Kim specifically picked Jack and his boys and
they're the
Charlie.
best.
So at this point, when they're swimming through, we see them swimming through these what seems to be old ruins or whatever from the cave in. And once again, if it wasn't already clear that Charlie is one of the boys and down with the lads, she swims past this and she reports back to Jack or someone, "Hey, yo, did you see that architectural marvel? That was sick!"
Also,
And at that point, I was then sexually repulsed by Charlie. She can wear that bikini and talk about all she wants and lather herself up between the yeah and the sick bro. I'm out.
Also, my favourite part about this, every time they're underwater, actually, they did it right from the start. They've got, as if they've got those, walkie earpiece thingies, so we can hear their dialogue.
Were you getting the feeling that
But-
Charlie was a tomboy?
They literally had, the snorkely type thing, so they have something in their mouth that so clearly isn't going to allow them to speak. So the whole time you're seeing them just
That also, every time they spoke underwater, all of a sudden the watery sounds cut out and it was just clear dialogue between everybody. That was very strange, especially for a $30 million production. Clearly, it's all gone on the water tank. That's what's
not
gone on.
necessarily being able to get one of those full face mask things, although I don't see why that was difficult. But don't show a close up of someone's face with their mouth wrapped around a tube whilst they're supposed to be talking.
Well, you got to put a close up in sometime, I guess, and you got to get the money's worth of that underwater tank. You got to get someone close underneath the water. Let's go for it. So at this point, someone, I forget who, gets kind of aliened in the water. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it kind of made me think.
And that's when their air tank explodes as well, right? So there's a massive cave in.
So then they're all kind of freaked because someone has been attacked by an alien. Briggs is back. because they do manage to go and get Briggs, or Briggs just shows up, whatever.
Yeah.
Briggs is back, and now they're all down in this other part of the cave. It's time for Jack to talk to them again, because they're all starting to fracture. There's more fracturing. There's fracturing in the other movie. Now this team, the best team, number one team in the world, is starting to fracture. So Jack makes a big talk, how about we're all going to make it out. We're all going to make it.
You haven't even said
Jack is confronted.
the reason why they're worried about not making it out. Like I just briefly said, the explosion when he got aliened meant that the way they'd come in has been blocked off now. It's caved in. Okay, so we're all going to get out.
Because we've got to find a new way out.
We've got to find a new way out.
And Briggs, he confronts Jack about the guy who's just been aliened in the water. They have like a bit of a, yeah. Then Jack's allowed to get back on with it. Back onto the speech, and someone like Nikolai, he pleads ignorance now to these monsters. He's like, monsters? I don't know anything about any monsters. And then someone then asks Jack, "Where's the rescue team?" Just like, we are the rescue team. We're the goddamn best team I've ever put together. And then they'll consolidate again. No more fracturing.
They do. They start making their way through this cave system.
Hang on, though. Hang on.
Oh, God, there's
more. Because
more.
then, just after this, there's more beef. And
beef?
Tyler, the younger roguish brother, he gets into a scrap with, I think it's Briggs. They have a scrap. But luckily, Charlie's on hand to break up these, two 200-pound men. And she comes to save the day, and, no more fighting, because Charlie's broken this up. Bro.
Yeah, so now they're making their way through the cave system, and I guess they're just at first making their way to see if there is any way out of this cave bit they're in, but then they're looking for specific markers that apparently, so like when there's cold water coming up into warm water, it makes a different colour, and they're like, oh, that must mean that there's a spring somewhere, so we can follow that.
It's this kind of knowledge that makes you the number one team in the world.
It's very confusing, and at one point, what is it? I think it's the older brother, right?
Jack.
He gets attacked.
Well, he gets CGI scorpion attacked. He swims up to a small, tiny little cave within a cave, and there are all these scorpions coming towards him.
Yeah.
Alien scorpions. So that's how he gets infected with the parasite.
Yeah, he gets attacked, and then, as you just said, he's got some parasite on him, which the doctor at the beginning of the movie did kind of show us as well. And we see him kind of changing throughout the rest of this film as they're all trying to escape, to the point where even his irises change shape and whatnot. So he's clearly turning, and the doctor at one point towards the end mentions that essentially thinks it's the germs that are turning humans into the monsters that have been pursuing them.
Yeah. So after we get scorpion attacked, like say we're told about that, but I just want to. I've said we've got kind of like alien, and now we've got a parasite inside you, and not everyone's sure if you're infected. So now we've got kind of like a thing going on, and
this movie wishes
the dialogue and stuff is kind of AVP style. So I reckon that the guy just walked into the room. He's like, "Look, I've got alien mixed with the thing, mix of Alien versus Predator, underwater." Is 30 million.
That could work.
Go and make that movie. And I think that's kind of like what we get here. Just not on the level of any of those movies, apart from maybe AVP.
So as they're making their way out, they also figure out these creatures not only dangerous on land, they can also swim, and the bloody buggers can fly as well. So there's no getting away from them, essentially. They use echolocation like bats.
They've been told
can't hide
that these primeval creatures have evolved alone, and that's what makes them so unique. Dr. Jennings, I don't know how to say her name properly, Lena Headey from Game of Thrones. She's got the knowledge. She's got the inside knowledge. She shows Dr. Nikolai a parasite and shows how it works and stuff underneath a microscope. I don't know where she got all this equipment. Maybe it's at the nerve center. I'm not sure.
Well, that's what they brought with them.
Yeah, and
they're the reason they're there in the first place.
As I say, so Jack has been infected by this parasite, and we can tell that he's starting to lose it.
But he's still leading the team
because he's the biggest guy, and he goes and attacks Kim, the cameraman. who's just there to document everything. So he attacks
He's going
him,
a bit nuts,
destroys
yeah.
his camera, and he badmouths Briggs.
And then, but he says sorry.
He does say sorry, and that's what's weird about him, because he's been infected with a parasite. At some point soon after this, everyone realises, and no one kind of panics. They're like, "Oh, look, Jack's an alien now," and they're kind of like, "Oh yeah, we'll just carry on this way though, and we'll deal with that later."
He ends up using it kind of to everyone's
Well, that's the thing.
advantage.
He's not. Was Jack turning into the thing an advantage to the crew, because he just seemed to help him out?
Yeah,
He wasn't.
I think it absolutely was.
Well, why even give him a parasite then? Why not just, because he's just being Jack still. He's just being the leader.
No,
he's leading them
because
out.
without the parasite infecting him, then he wouldn't have all those special connection. Yeah, he can sense things because he's turning into one of them.
Yeah,
so
we
that's
see the
how
camera
he figures
going
stuff
into
out.
his face and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
I get that. Yeah, but he's still supposed to be infected with one of these things, and he's just helping everybody out.
yes, except that it does begin to fracture people. So there's a couple
More
of
fracturing?
there's there's fracturing because there's one long-term person who's been with them, and his, the guy's brother, they all are going to go with him no matter what. Whereas the doctor and the camera guy and stuff, they're like, I think this might be a better way out. So yeah, so they fracture, they split up, and we follow mostly. Actually, yeah, we completely follow along with the brothers.
Yeah, and let's not forget they've also brought with them propane valves, so that's going to come in handy. Propane valves have been brought to this cave. So back in the water now for a little bit as well. There's more water troubles.
Yeah.
We can't get through. Gonna drown. Doesn't drown. Everyone's fine. Then Nikolai is eaten. Goodbye, Dr. Nikolai. He's been eaten alive by his own legend. He's the only one that knew. And, it then quickly goes to Charlie is now Tomb Raider.
Yeah, oh my god. So they get to a point where they're like, oh, I think we need to scale this rock face and get to some place up there. So Charlie's like, well, I've got this. Don't worry. I'm not only an amazing, proficiently experienced diver, I'm also Lara Croft. So she's just flying up through this really difficult place, and she gets into the hole and she looks up and there's movement. And lo and behold, one of these evil creatures is up there. So she just flies out of the hole, essentially trying to get away. And she's fallen down, but obviously her safety harness has caught her and she's just dangling there. And then whilst this thing is crawling down the cliff face towards her, she starts running side to side so that she can build up a swing. And then last but not least, the most the pinnacle of it all was when she loosens herself from any safety gear, goes careening, flying through the air, and just manages to land with her hands and feet grabbing onto the side of sheer rock.
The rock face. She must fall about 500 feet with no safety harness, but...
And she doesn't smash into it or anything either.
It's
She just lands perfectly.
Smooth landing.
Yeah.
Not even a graze. Mm-mm. But like you said, that's not over because this being has wings.
Yeah.
And that's when she shouts out, "This freaking thing can fly! It can friggin' fly!" What's with the friggin'?
She's down with the boys, so she has to swear.
Friggin'.
Well.
So this thing can fly, but luckily it does get to her. But she's got her propane valve, which has just been introduced. She likes the propane valve. This creature's dead, but unfortunately,
There's
Charlie,
lots of them.
our alpha male, is also dead. She's sacrificed herself. So now it's up to the men
That's it.
and Dr. Jennings, I guess. She's a lady. Mm-hmm. But I didn't see Charlie. Copying it.
Yeah, but the next thing that I remember as well, so after they've kind of split up, as I mentioned, into two groups, and the three guys go through this whole thing, face off with the creatures, but they find a way out. So then the younger brother is like, oh, well, I should go and get the others, and lead them out, essentially.
Well, I'd also just like to interject. So they've just seen Charlie, propane this thing,
Right.
this being to death, and she's gone. So you thought, right, all we got to do now is abseil down here, and we're kind of back to safety. Instead of taking it easy they abseiled in a very panicked way, and obviously one of them then falls and he's hanging. He's like, I think it's Top Buchanan. That's not very fitting of his name, Top Buchanan, to be
the one
dangling.
actually where when he's going down, he's like pushing himself off massively, and so his like pack is bashing again. I was like, what an idiot.
Yeah, so they completely lost the plot after seeing this bat thing.
Clearly
but
not the
abseiling
best in the world.
is another thing they're supposed to be the best in the world at, and they're just completely ballsing it up.
Yeah, completely ruining it. But anyway, so then the younger brother goes to get the others, and bearing in mind
they come to a fiery cave now. We know we're starting to use the $30 million. It's not just a cave with water; it's now a cave with water and fire.
Yeah, that's where they have the face-off thing that I mentioned.
It looked pretty cool.
But yeah, so younger brother goes to get the others, and bearing in mind, like, we've seen them going through quite a bit of cave system and doing this and that, being attacked, surviving, finding an exit, and he's gone back to where they split, and they're still just there. Did you notice that? They hadn't gone anywhere in their time. They're like, we're going to go through this waterhole, but apparently we'll just
not
wait.
Yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Just sit here and see what happens. But I guess that was really lucky, because obviously it means that he can bring them back to the exit place. And then his brother, who everyone had been doubting all this time, is a hero.
Yeah.
He goes off to, I don't remember what it is, he had to like
Tyler goes back for someone, doesn't
get
he?
something or someone. And
Briggs gets got. I think he goes back for Briggs, but he can't save Briggs. And then, he gets got, but then runs into Jennings, and all of a sudden they see Kim, who's lost. But Kim pops out, and then Kim's lost again, and Kim's dead. So he's lost, he's here, he's gone again, he's here, now he's dead. So that was Kim. And we get them. I think Tyler then goes back to Jack. And he's like, look, Kim's dead, all these people are dead. And he's like, he kind of has a thing of, they have a moment of, I've got to go again, we can't end it here. And they have a soul moment, because like Jack is walking off and Tyler's like, Jack! And then they walk off. They had a soul. That was a soul moment they had there.
no words needed.
No words necessary. It was a soul moment. So they rendezvous again back with the three. And so we've got Jack and Top Buchanan. Top Buchanan's still here. Mm-hmm. The Thing is back. The Thing /
There's
Alien.
loads of them.
Absolutely loads of them. Yeah, what did you make of that bit? When the attack was on. That's more aliens now, because there's more than one of them. So it's Alien... plus aliens, plus AVP.
Well, they suddenly seemed a bit less
and the Thing
effective.
underwater.
Like, I didn't really buy that those three people or whatever was like cowering there and escaping. But in the end, older brother, makes the biggest sacrifice so that the others can escape.
Tyler slays a beast. So we see him climb on a beast's back and literally take his neck apart. And there's also a part, I think it's Jack. He sees like something coming towards him. He might be holding his propane at this point as well.
Yeah.
So he probably decides like, I'm going to bomb it, and we get the classic "you mother," and they just cut it off there. And that's why we got the friggin' and the mother
Cool.
and the mother.
Cool.
I think they tried to give it a 12A rating. Is probably what it got.
Well, with the Lara Croftism and this face-off in the fiery cave and stuff, it is quite targeted.
It's after the cut off then of that "you mother," that the cave explodes and we get Jennings and Tyler end up swimming to safety. So it's Tyler, the younger brother, and Dr. Jennings, Nikolai's assistant, who have made it, and now they're at a cafe in Romania. And Tyler's kind of got all these questions before they leave about Jack being left there. Will he survive because he's got the parasite, and what will his lifespan be, and things like this. And Dr. Jennings is like, yada, 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 yada. Goes in to lean towards him. Takes down her sunglasses. And her eyes, she's got the parasite. And then she leans back and just wanders off into the crowds of Bucharest. And Tyler's like a bit confused for a while. That's how he probably loses her. And he finally gets up to try and look for her. But I was thinking from her point of view, I know she's got the parasite. Maybe she wants to play a game. But why wouldn't you just keep it to yourself and wander off? Because now there's a slight chance. Just a slight chance, but still a chance that you're just going to be caught, when he could have just left himself with no chance. Scot-free.
But then, it wouldn't be as cinematic of an ending.
you're right there. Classic ending. Well, I guess when you've walked into the room and you've sold it as Alien versus Predator, The Thing, underwater.
You've got to have the rip-off ending.
You know,
as well.
you've got to go that way. You can't let anyone down. And I wasn't let down. Number one, for as dumb and cliche as this film
silly.
was, I did find it like popcorn entertaining. Just sit there and turn your brain off, and it did its job in that sense. It entertained me. So I can't really say it was a bad movie. I couldn't say it was a bad movie.
It was a
dumb movie. but there was still stuff to like.
Yeah, if someone was like, "Yeah, I enjoyed it," like you just said, I'm not gonna rinse them. But I
don't want to watch it again. But I was, in a lot of time I'd be annoyed halfway through most movies that we watched. This time I was like, no.
At least this was funny.
Yeah, and look, there's Morris Chestnut. I said that like 17 times. There he is. There's Morris Chestnut. If I had done that in the previous movie and pointing out Pink, then you would have known all along. But at least with this one, you knew that was Morris Chestnut.
Yeah, I knew.
Yeah, Rosewood himself.
Yeah, exactly.